In the quiet backroads of Florida, where the air feels thicker than it should, and even the crickets seem to whisper, there's a town called Cassadaga, known by locals as the psychic capital of the world. But beneath its peaceful surface lies something far darker than tarot cards and seances. It's an unmarked cemetery, wrapped in Spanish moss and silence. And in the heart of that graveyard stands a single stone seat, cold, gray, and impossibly still. They call it the Devil's Chair. It's carved deep into the earth, older than most of the headstones around it. Some say it was built by the first settlers. Others claim it appeared overnight after a storm in 1890. Whatever its origin, one thing everyone agrees on: you never sit in that chair after midnight. Because at midnight, it's no longer empty. Locals say if you leave a can of beer on the chair before midnight, it'll be empty by morning. Not spilled, not evaporated, drunk. And if you're foolish enough to sit down, you'll hear a voice behind you. A whisper that sounds like your own breath, saying your name, slow and deliberate. Sit longer.
Stay. Talk to me.
Cassadaga attracts thousands of spiritualists and psychics each year, mediums who claim to see the dead, healers who speak of energy and light. But none of them will go near the cemetery after dark. Even the local pastor locks the church doors before sundown. In 1978, a young man named Hank Larson ignored the warnings. He was 22, a skeptic who laughed at ghost stories. According to his friends, he wanted to prove it was all a hoax, so he brought a lawn chair, a tape recorder, and a six-pack of Budweiser. He sat across from the stone seat and hit record. The next morning, his friends found the tape. The audio started normal, insects buzzing, Hank laughing, mocking the legends. But around the 40-minute mark, there was a faint growl, low and distorted. Then Hank's laughter stopped. And then silence. The tape kept rolling, but there were no more sounds. Police found his truck by the gate. The door was open. The beer cans were crushed, as if by immense pressure. Hank's body was never recovered. For years, the story faded into rumor. Then in 1996, another disappearance. A teenage girl named Mara Stevenson who was last seen wandering the cemetery during a sleepover dare. Her phone was later found in the grass, recording for nearly 6 minutes. Only one phrase could be made out clearly between static and wind. "Why are you in my seat?" Locals still say if you sit in the devil's chair long enough, you'll feel it. The air turning colder, the ground humming beneath your feet, like something alive just beneath the soil. The most terrifying stories, though, aren't from tourists. They're from the gravediggers. One, an old man named Earl Daniels, worked that cemetery for 30 years. He never looked directly at the chair. He said it breathes. On quiet mornings before sunrise, he would find deep impressions in the grass, as if something heavy had been sitting there all night. Once, he saw steam rising from the stone itself, even though the air was cool. He quit the next day and never came back. Today, Cassadaga still welcomes visitors, ghost hunters, thrill seekers, and believers. The Devil's Chair has become a strange kind of attraction. Some take photos. Others offer prayers. But a few just sit. And sometimes, when the night is perfectly still, the air carries something that doesn't belong, a low rumble that sounds like laughter buried in the wind. And if you're there long enough, they say you'll feel it too, that hand on your shoulder. Cold. Patient. Waiting for you to turn around. The air that night in Cassadaga hung heavy, thicker than fog, but colder than any Florida winter should allow. The graveyard gates creaked as they opened, and the old sign that read Lake Helen Cemetery swung lazily in the breeze. The camera's red light blinked once, then twice, then stopped, like it too feared what lay ahead. David, the host of Unholy Footprints, had promised his viewers the truth behind the legend of the Devil's Chair. The story was old, almost older than Cassadaga itself, a town built on whispers, seances, and lost souls. Locals said that if you left an unopened beer on the chair at midnight, by morning it would be gone, and if you stayed to see who took it, you'd never sleep again. But tonight, David wasn't leaving a beer. He was leaving a challenge. His voice cracked as he spoke into the camera. "To the one who sits on this throne, I don't believe in you. Show me why I should. The words hung in the humid night, echoing against marble tombs. He placed his flashlight beside the stone chair, an old, moss-covered monument shaped like a throne, and hit record. The beam flickered, but he didn't notice. The night swallowed his voice, and in that silence, something else began to breathe. The camera caught it first. A faint shimmer behind the chair, like heat distortion, rippling the air. But it was colder than ice. "Hello," David whispered.
His voice didn't echo this time.
It came back distorted, delayed by half a second, but deeper, heavier. Like someone repeating him from the other side. "Hello." David froze. "Who's there? Who's there?" The mimicry grew louder. The flashlight rolled toward the chair, stopping at its base. A shadow fell over the lens, not shaped like a man, but more like a silhouette with horns curling upward. The outline leaned forward, as if peering into the camera itself. Then, it smiled. The footage shook violently. David's breathing grew rapid. He tried to run, but something pulled him back by his jacket. The audio spiked, screams mixed with static. The frame twisted. Then, everything went dark. The next morning, his car was still parked outside the cemetery. Engine cold. Doors locked.
Camera missing.
3 days later, a local teenager found the camera wedged between two gravestones, still recording. When investigators reviewed the footage, they found exactly 7 minutes of blank tape after David's last scream. But when they enhanced the audio, beneath the static was a faint hum, almost like someone laughing slowly. And then a voice.
"Sit."
"You called me." No one could explain how those words got there. The chair itself remained in the same position, but the moss that once covered it had turned black. The air smelled faintly of sulfur, and for the first time, locals stopped leaving beer offerings. For years, the footage was locked away. But in 2019, a paranormal YouTube channel claimed to have obtained a copy. They uploaded a portion of it, blurred and edited. Within 24 hours, the video was taken down. The uploader disappeared. His friends said he started acting strange before he vanished, speaking to someone who wasn't there, muttering about a deal, a promise, a throne. They found his phone still recording in his car. The last thing heard on the audio. "I said, I'm not afraid anymore." Then, a deep voice replied, "You were never afraid. You were mine." That's when the screaming started. Cassadaga's residents don't talk about the devil's chair anymore, not publicly. But if you visit, they'll warn you about the sound that carries through the night, a low scraping, like stone against bone. Some say it's just the wind moving through the graves. Others know better. In 2021, a new visitor named Rebecca filmed herself sitting on the chair at 12:01 a.m. Her TikTok caption read, "If the devil's real, let him show up." The next clip on her phone, timestamped 12:02 a.m., shows the same chair, empty. Her voice whispers faintly off-screen, "He's right behind me." Her account went silent after that. No one's seen her since. But here's the strange part. Every year on the anniversary of her disappearance, a new beer can appears on the chair. Always unopened. Always cold. No one knows who leaves it, or what happens to it by dawn. There's another legend now, newer, darker. They say the chair isn't just cursed. It's a doorway. A gate between the living and something older. Paranormal researchers believe the town's founding seance group, the Cassadaga Circle, created it by accident. Records from 1895 describe a ritual of summoning truth through the stone of passage. They thought they were contacting spirits of the lost. But what answered wasn't lost. A diary entry found in the ruins of the old seance hall reads, "It came not as light, but as a shadow wearing the face of faith." The writer's name was Reverend Thomas Gray. He was buried 2 weeks later. His coffin was found empty. In a recovered audio file allegedly from David's missing footage, a faint female voice can be heard crying. Then another voice interrupts her. "So you asked for truth. Now sit." The audio cuts. And if you listen closely in the silence after, you can hear someone whisper, "We never left the chair." A recent paranormal team tried to debunk the story. They placed thermal cameras, EMF meters, and motion detectors around the cemetery. For 2 hours, nothing. Then, at 2:37 a.m., every sensor triggered simultaneously. The temperature dropped by 10 degrees in seconds. The team's leader, Carla, later said in an interview, "The noise wasn't like anything I've heard. It wasn't wind. It was breathing, but from the ground." Their footage showed something else too. A shadow sitting in the chair, visible only for 3 frames. The team fled, abandoning their gear. When they returned the next morning, all their equipment was gone, except for one note left on the seat.
It read,
"He's not done sitting." Some locals now believe the devil's chair feeds on attention. That the more people talk about it, film it, or challenge it, the stronger it gets. The town council quietly passed a motion in 2024 to block public access to that section of the cemetery. The chair remains inside, fenced off and forgotten, at least officially. But from the road, you can still see it. And if you park there after midnight, you might notice a figure sitting perfectly still on the stone. He doesn't move. He doesn't breathe. Until you blink. Then, the chair's empty again. So what do you think? Is the devil's chair just an old stone and an overgrown legend? Or is it something far older, waiting for the next soul to sit and listen? If you've ever been to Cassadaga or heard whispers of this cursed seat, tell your story in the comments. I read every one. And if you want to journey deeper into America's most haunted places, where fact and nightmare meet, hit that subscribe button. Because the next story might be closer to home than you think, and sometimes curiosity doesn't just uncover the truth. It wakes it up.